You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome to our show today. It is Monday, February 22nd, 2021, start of a brand new week of utter chaos and insanity and whatever else is going to come on down the way. We have a lot to talk about today. It's been a very, very busy weekend. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. And as usual, I'm going to do news until I run out of news, and then we will open up the phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions. A little bit of good news. Earlier today, NASA released actual video from the Perseverance rover landing on Mars today. I mean, it's a live video, and it's out there. You can watch the replay. We linked it to whatreallyhappened.com. There was a video taken from the underside of Perseverance as it landed. There was a video looking up at the sky crane as it was landing, and another video from the sky crane looking down as the Perseverance touched down. This adds a new exciting dimension to this because a lot of the earlier probes really weren't set up for video. In fact, back on the Viking mission, the cameras acted more like facsimile scan machines, where it would actually take a minute to get a single frame in there. So seeing live action video, very, very exciting. All righty, now getting on to some more serious news down in Texas. They had a really, really hard time, and there is this article that came on out of IntelliHub about Texageddon. They're talking about the blackouts, the near collapse of food, fuel, cell towers, power grid, water systems, emergency services, and roads, and basically said it underscores the need to be a prepper and to think about your own survival, because we learned the infrastructure is far more vulnerable than most people think. Because all of that money you have been paying in taxes is going off to the war machine and Israel and various other things, while our nation is rotting out from underneath us. So this was a real wake-up call. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said during a press conference there are still 30,000 Texans without electric power. And part of the problem with the power being down is the gas stations are closed because they can't pump fuel without electricity. So we have truck drivers are stranded, shelves are empty in the stores, and it is a real mess down there. Now, one of the big things that everybody is really upset about is the cost of electricity, because the electric power generation in Texas that comes from non-renewables is capped by various laws regarding green energy. And so they had to buy electricity from outside the state at a premium, same thing that Enron was doing at California. And a lot of people have now wound up with these $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 power bills. But don't worry about it a bit, because your friendly electric company has set up a 10-year payment plan. Now, they're starting to take a really good look at this, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott is saying the power companies cannot stick customers with the huge bills, but will those who've paid up to $17,000 be able to get their money back? That remains up in the air. And a lot of people are out there still angry with Ted Cruz because he went down to Cancun. But let's be very honest. And mind you, I'm not a big fan of Ted Cruz. But if I had been in Texas with all that snow and ice around and I had that kind of money, I would have headed someplace warmer, like maybe, I don't know, Hawaii. But protesters have gathered outside Cruz's home. And they're screaming he must resign. What did they expect him to do? Warm the weather up? I understand protesting legitimate grievances, but I think this is a little bit off the edge here. Story coming on out of Investment Watch blog. And this gets back to what I mentioned before. Biden's Department of Energy forced the Texas power grid to below 60% capacity to meet arbitrary green emissions targets and demanded multi-million-dollar residential power bills to overrule. I'm hearing that they're attempting to find some way to make this easier on the people of Texas, and they should, because they didn't ask for this. They didn't contract for these huge power bills. But it does go back to all this green energy nonsense, because you have, first of all, the wind turbines weren't winterized. They locked up in the cold. The solar panels were covered with snow, did not have heaters to keep them clear. And it's another example about all these green enthusiasts, campaigners, not really thinking things all the way through. And we've got another example of that a little bit later in the show. All right, there was this 11-year-old boy, Christian Pineda, and he died in a frozen Texas trailer because the power died, and his family is now suing the power companies for $100 million. Meanwhile, Texas is still trying to ramp up water distribution, and it's taking a while. The other day, last week, in fact, we were talking about be aware of how the freeze was affecting non-humans like cattle, sheep, chickens, and expect that we're going to see shortages of beef and lamb and pork and chicken, poultry in the markets in the near future. Now, Claire and I did a run to the local Walmart. It hasn't hit here yet, but I am hearing from people in Texas that the meat counters are already empty. And now we're hearing that the Texas antelopes were freezing to death. Now, the antelopes apparently were imported from India and Pakistan. They've been there for more than 80 years, but the cold was too much for them, and they started freezing to death. Niagara Falls partially froze, creating a spectacular display. Apparently, the temperatures plunged as low as -2 degrees Fahrenheit during the brutal winter storm. Gosh darn that human-caused global warming, when will it ever end? Getting into the political news, we are hearing via the Epoch Times that Donald Trump is probably interested in running for the White House again in 2024. This is coming from his daughter-in-law and former senior advisor, Lara Trump. And he's telling people, stay tuned. It's not over for him. And that he is going to be interested in running again in 2024. Well, Donald, I have a piece of advice for you, and that is, get your supporters to take some sledgehammers to those electronic voting machines, because if you don't clean up that election mess, you don't stand a snowball's chance in the dark regions of ever winning office again. I mean, the election system is an absolute total mess. On February 25th through 28th, there is going to be a meeting in Orlando, Florida, of the CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. Donald Trump is going to attend and basically position himself as the continuing head of the Republican Party. Surprisingly, Mike Pence declined the invitation to show up. This will be Donald Trump's first public appearance since he left the White House. So, yeah, it looks like he's on a comeback after that bogus impeachment trial. Story coming on out from Domagood: Biden and the Democrats are still running scared after stealing the election, and they will likely never hold another open event with the American people. And dovetailing with that one is another story coming out of Anti-Empire, talking about that we may have this wide open border with Mexico, but right now there is a heavily fortified border in the United States between its citizens and their representatives. And they're talking about all the razor wire and barricades that have been put up in Washington, D.C., and by all reports will be kept there. They are that afraid of the American people. And I'm not surprised. This one didn't surprise me either, but I'm disappointed. Today, the Supreme Court threw out a series of legal challenges to the election processes and results left over from the November election cycle. The Supreme Court did not explain why it refused to hear the cases, but 3 justices dissented from the decision not to hear the case. In the case of the Pennsylvania challenge brought by Trump, the Supreme Court declared it moot, meaning Biden's the president, get used to it. There's no use in looking back at what happened on election day. So any of you who think we have justice in this country, there is a wake-up call for you. Meanwhile, people are still out there looking over at Station Gossip. They're talking about over in Michigan, their Secretary of State sent absentee ballot applications to a foreign student who attended college in Michigan for 3 years, but she returned to Taiwan in 2004, and yet her name still remains on the qualified voter list. It's just out there. And this one, they're telegraphing what they're going to do. This is coming out of the Gateway Pundit. Democrats are now pushing a bill that would force all states to count ballots received 10 days after the election. I mean, that basically says they're going to keep on using this mail-in ballot as the way to just rig the elections from now into perpetuity. Now, long before the pandemic, Democrats were pushing mail-in voting, ballot harvesting, and other schemes to steal their offices. Back in May 2020, Pelosi was talking about mail-in voting because of coronavirus. But back in January of 2019, Democrats were pushing mail-in voting legislation back there. So they have been working at this for a very, very long time. All right. Down in Louisiana, their Secretary of State is about to hand over $100 million for the purchase of new voting machines, and reportedly, Dominion is under consideration for that contract. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. The Supreme Court also cleared the way for prosecutors in New York to receive 8 years of Donald Trump's tax returns. So they're still pounding on him with the lawfare. They want him to just go. They just hate him blindly, and they don't care how much damage they do to the country, to you, to me, as long as they get that Donald Trump. All right, Facebook is trying to restart negotiations down in Australia with Nine and News Corp just a day after it banned all news on its Australian site. So I guess there was a little bit of brinksmanship going on there, and Facebook has blinked. And it's not the end of their problems, because Canada is now looking at following Australia's lead in charging Facebook for links. And so we're going to see what's happening with that. This is a good one about how just out of control this censorship thing is concerned. YouTube blocked a channel because it included things like black threat and white must attack. Ooh, must be racist, must be racist. Actually, no, because the channel belonged to Croatian chess master Antonio Radic, and he was talking about chess strategy. And YouTube's computers blocked him. So much for the theory of artificial intelligence. Story coming on out of YUZ, basically asking, what will happen to Rush Limbaugh's 15 million listeners? Who will take the place of Rush Limbaugh as the media ringmaster of the right? And they're saying most likely is nobody. But they're saying Limbaugh almost single-handedly created the right-wing mass media universe, and they're not sure where his 15 million listeners might go. Well, I would like to extend a heartfelt invitation to those 15 million listeners. You are always welcome here at Republic Broadcasting Network. So you feel welcome, sit down by the fire, get warm, and we'll keep you company for a while. Getting on to coronavirus, it's rather interesting. House conservatives are basically planning to oppose the Democrats' $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. And the reason they're doing that is because very little of that money is actually going to COVID relief. The bill is basically full of special interest pork, all kinds of liberal goodies, and the House Republican Study Committee is working on a last-ditch way to block passage of this proposal. Now, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki repeatedly refuses to condemn Governor Andrew Cuomo's actions that led to the deaths of thousands of elderly New York nursing home residents. So they're still out there trying to protect him on that one. Meanwhile, Cuomo's nursing home deaths cover-up could become a federal level criminal investigation, which I would love to see happen, but then, it could go all the way to the Supreme Court and they could throw it out. Another article along the same line from Your Destination Now, How the Mighty Have Fallen. Democrat governors Cuomo and Newsom, once considered kingpins, now face removal from office, which raises the question, can we recall Joe Biden? Can we get a petition drive going for that one? Over in Great Britain, they're approaching their 1-year anniversary of the government's disastrous lockdown experiment. The data is starting to pour on in. The numbers are ugly. The lockdown policy has forced 70,000 households into homelessness. 70,000. And it's obvious the lockdown policies have failed the people of Britain at every single level. And Boris Johnson is also under tremendous pressure for that. Now, I know that part of the agenda and the plan for all the fear-mongering for the COVID-19 is they were going to mask the economic crash by blaming it on the COVID pandemic. The economy was doing fine, and then COVID hit, and, it all fell apart. Well, we know the economy was getting ready to fall apart anyway. They just wanted to have something to blame for it. But what people are starting to say is it's not the COVID pandemic that destroyed the economy. It's the government's actions regarding the pandemic that destroyed our economy. Now, Dr. Fauci, changing his tack once again, is saying it's now possible Americans will still be wearing face masks in 2022. He must own stock in the company that makes those face masks. Meanwhile, story out of Russia Today, Biden's White House is working directly with big tech to censor content causing vaccine hesitancy. Now, I was having a talk with David Crucial Nonsense just before we went on airtime, and we were talking about this dodge that the government is using of having these private corporations exercise censorship on their behalf, because these corporations take the position, we're not part of the government, therefore you can't sue us under the First Amendment. But if we document a direct connection where the government goes to Twitter and Facebook and Google and says, please block this, then it is in fact being incited by the government, and it is in fact a violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So the dictatorship is showing itself. All right. It is the 56th anniversary. I think it was yesterday when Malcolm X was assassinated in New York City. And lawyers and family members of the late civil rights leader released a letter. And when we come back from this commercial break, I'll tell you what the letter said.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
Welcome back to our show. And again, a quick reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network needs your support to keep doing what we're doing, especially now. And even though we are getting word that the state of Texas is going to try and do something about the outrageous electric bills, we don't know that that's happened yet. or there's no guarantee that it will actually happen. And because Republic Broadcasting Network uses a lot of electricity, they're facing a very serious electric bill right now, and they need your help to pay it off. So once again, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And if you mail in a donation of $100 or more, include your t-shirt size and a return address, and you'll get one of these spiffy RBN t-shirts and bragging rights sent back to you. And don't forget, the front site deal is back on. You want to pay attention to that. All of the contact information is at the top of republicbroadcasting.org. Okay, so we're talking about Malcolm X, and apparently his family released a letter from a former New York Police Department cop. He wrote it on his deathbed. Was a deathbed confession, and that letter claims that the FBI and police conspired in the civil rights leader's assassination. And apparently Malcolm's daughters are demanding the murder probe be reopened. Now, of course, these days we know that the FBI and police are involved in assassinating populist leaders that get in the way of the government's agenda. We know that there was certainly a conspiracy in Martin Luther King's shooting, and that's just the way that they do these things, and we need to be aware of that. Okay, this is kind of weird, and it shows how the protest culture has really expanded beyond reason. This is being reported in Russia Today. Anti-racism activists in New York are protesting against white supremacy as they demand justice for a Filipino-American man who was slashed with a box cutter on the subway. Gosh darn that white nationalism. The only problem is the guy who actually attacked the Filipino-American man was black. The attacker was black, but any excuse for another protest against those evil, evil white people. Story coming on out of UNS.com. We're starting to see data come out of the New York City Police Department for last year. Their crime and enforcement activity report showed that non-whites committed 96.4% of the homicides and 98.3% of non-fatal shootings in New York, which is 33% white. You're not going to see this reported in the New York Times or the New York Post or ABC or CNN or not even Fox News, but that is the hard reality coming from the police raw data. The white population aren't the problem. Getting to the international news now, things in Myanmar are just getting worse and worse. There were huge crowds marched in Myanmar yesterday to denounce the February 1st military coup in a show of defiance after the bloodiest episode of the Campaign for Democracy the previous day, Saturday, when security forces fired on protesters with live ammunition, killing 2 of them. And so it's really getting ugly. Now, for those of you who need to be caught up, the military took control of the government over allegations of massive election fraud in the Myanmar elections that resulted in the incumbents retaining power against challengers. And apparently the election fraud there was as obvious as it was in this country. Now, the people in Myanmar are beginning a general strike. Again, this has all the earmarks, if you will, of a U.S.-backed color revolution. Story coming on out of Russia Today again. Oxfam is out there saying that UK arms sales to Saudi Arabia are what is prolonging the war in Yemen. And the latest is the sale of air-to-air refueling equipment for Saudi Arabia. thereby allowing Saudi assets to bomb Yemeni targets for far longer. And so, the weapons makers are making a heck of a lot of money here. And it's very obvious the military-industrial complex is in full bloom right now. Story out of Anti-Empire, the weapons business bankrolls experts pushing to extend the Afghan war. Earlier this month, there was a study group established by Congress. And we got to take another commercial break. We'll come back to this story after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once per year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's a favorite daughter. If someone wants to help her.
Welcome back to our show here, and we were talking about this study group that was established by Congress, and they have recommended that President Biden extend the deadline for withdrawing troops from America's longest war. It's a strategy, well, except for Korea. It's a strategy that many experts say runs the risk of abrogating the U.S. Taliban agreement and setting back the potential peace process in Afghanistan. But apparently, the people making up this study group really aren't into peace all that much. 2 of the group's 3 co-chairs and 9 of the group's 12 plenary members have current or recent financial ties to major defense contractors, an industry that soaks up more than half of the $740 billion with a B dollar defense budget every year. And the more the U.S. military is involved overseas, the more money they make. The United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is revealing that the United States has opened negotiations with Iran over the release of Americans held hostage after Secretary of State Blinken revealed he's open to returning to the nuclear deal nixed by Trump. And of course, there's a lot of pressure against that one as well. This story is a little bit alarming. This is coming out of Israel 365 News. One of Israel's most respected rabbis, Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, has released a statement saying that America is collapsing as a world superpower, and that Israel must step up as the new world superpower. Because after all, they've already got all the money and the weapons from us that they need for that. Now, things are not all rosy over in Israel. They've had a major oil spill along the coast. They're still trying to figure out where that came from. Citizens volunteered to clean up the tar from the beaches. This was at Nitzanim Beach, just south of Ashdod, and they could smell it all the way from the parking lot. And so apparently it's a mess over there. It really, really is. A Palestinian court has declared the Balfour Declaration to be legally invalid. Now, the Balfour Declaration was a document issued by the British government back in 1917 that paved the way for the creation of Israel. The Palestinian court said it violates the rules of international law, and they now hold the United Kingdom responsible for the plight of the Palestinians. Good luck with that one, unfortunately, here. A little bit of a whoopsie over in Africa. Luca Atanasio, was killed. He's the Italian ambassador. He was killed in an attack on the United Nations convoy in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So that's going to increase tensions there. This thing, they're really trying to sell more war to you. And I guess they're feeling the resistance, because I don't want any more wars. I don't think you want any more wars. I know our kids don't want any more wars because they're going to wind up fighting in them here. So there's this neocon, Robert Kagan. He's a co-founder of PNAC, the Project for the New American Century. They made a lot of headlines back in the 1990s, pushing for America to militarily become basically the superpower of the world. And he is now out there saying, Americans must accept their global role, and that any Americans opposing these forever wars are guilty of intolerance. And he even went so far as to say that opposing the wars in Afghanistan is also an attack on women's rights. That is really a bit of a reach. All right, little bit of economic news here. Been a bad weekend for Boeing with a qualifier. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Last week, there was an airplane, United Airlines 777, Boeing 777, basically took off from Denver, heading for Hawaii. And just minutes after the takeoff, one of the engines exploded. and rained debris over a square mile of Denver. And I say exploded because there was a video shot by one of the passengers showing what remained of the engine. Now, the way Boeing designs those nacelles, there is a blanket of Kevlar on the inside of the nacelle to contain debris from a rotor burst, which does happen from time to time. Whatever happened to this engine blew right past that and shredded the nacelle itself. So it was definitely a major, major problem. And at this point, I want to make a point. Everybody's out there saying, oh, the 777, bad airplane. Boeing sells the airframes. Boeing installs the engines chosen by the purchaser. If the purchaser says, you know, put this Briggs & Stratton lawnmower motor in there, Boeing's going to shrug and say, all right, if that's what you want, that's what we're going to do here. So the problem was with the engine, not with the 777. And the engine was made by Pratt & Whitney. Just a couple of days later, over in the Netherlands, there was a cargo version of a Boeing 747-400 heading for JFK Airport, and it had an engine blow up and rain debris all over the ground. So Boeing is now calling for the global grounding of all 128 777s with the same Pratt & Whitney engine that exploded midair over Denver. United Airlines says its 24 planes will not fly again until an FAA inspection. Now, there is a lot of stress on those engines, you know, no kidding, but that's why they cost so much. They're supposed to be built to withstand that stress. Now, the plane from Denver to Hawaii was 20 minutes into its flight, which means the engines, in theory, had already been pulled back from the maximum thrust used for takeoff. So they really do need to figure out what happened with that. But the good news is the Denver plane did get back safely. The flight crew executed a perfect emergency landing. Nobody was hurt there. In the Netherlands, 2 people were hurt on the ground. Nobody died there. Okay. Interestingly enough, President Trump made a comment about the oil industry to economist Steve Moore, saying, I don't want America to be energy independent. I want America to be energy dominant. Well, that's certainly a noble ambition, but Biden has already wound that back. The United States is now dependent again on foreign companies for oil and gas because of the shutting of the Keystone XL pipeline. Another story, this one coming from Zero Hedge. Can OPEC maintain order as the oil prices rise? And they are going up. We're seeing it at the gas station, even here in Indiana. And so oil is a hot commodity again. Brent surged over $65 a barrel, and WTI topped 60 for the first time in a year. So somebody's making money off of all of this. The top 5 cryptocurrencies to watch this week: BTC, Bitcoin, AAVE, Atom, NEO, and VET. Those are the ones to watch right now. They're heading on out there. Interestingly enough, though, Bill Gates is attacking cryptocurrencies. Last Wednesday, he came out with a comment saying that the decentralized currency is an innovation the world could do without. And he's pointing to the fact that cryptocurrency allows for certain criminal activities. That's also the same argument that is being used for, cash, to lead us to the cashless society. But they want a centralized, controlled economy where you have to basically grovel on your knees before the government in order to get your paycheck. Democratic Representative Ro Khanna is out there attacking people who doubt the wisdom of the $15 minimum wage. And she's basically saying that if businesses can't pay a $15 minimum wage, they should go out of business. We don't need businesses that can't pay $15 minimum wage. We don't need these small businesses. She said this yesterday on CNN's Inside Politics. And she said, low-wage businesses who can't pay $15 an hour are underpaying employees. Well, it is a complex issue. I would like to see the workers getting paid more for their work. I really would. Where do we make up the shortfall? Well, let's look at the salaries of all of these CEOs who are becoming billionaires, in this country. And we look at other countries like, for example, Japan, where the top executives' pay is at most 10 times that of an ordinary floor worker. And that, I think, is a much more mature way to be handling the wealth inequality issue than this argument over a minimum wage. Over in Great Britain, the food bank lines are growing as the pandemic exacerbates the hunger crisis. It's now estimated 14 million Britons, a third of them children, now live below the breadline, a poverty crisis that is tarnishing the image of one of the most powerful economies on the planet. Same thing's happening here. Food banks are doing a land office business. We're supposed to be this wonderful economy, and yet we have all this homelessness and hunger in this country. Something definitely is very much wrong, and we need to start looking at that issue. Nancy Pelosi released a video on the $15 minimum wage, and in it made a point of addressing President Trump as what's his name. Can't let go of the hate. Getting on to immigration and globalism and so forth, former Trump advisor Stephen Miller is basically chastising Democrats for a proposal that would send invitations to criminal illegal aliens to come back and get citizenship. I agree, it's madness. We have so many legal American citizens unable to find work right now. And we should close the borders for anybody except those who bring needed skills and some other benefit to our society. And we don't need the leftovers from other people's countries. We don't need the people who couldn't make it in their own home country to come here. And to make matters even worse, Joe Biden has ended the Trump program that targeted sex offenders in the illegal immigrant community. And Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody is among several attorneys general urging the Biden administration to reverse that cancellation of Operation Talon. And apparently Biden and the Democrats think it's best to leave Americans and children vulnerable. And you all know how I feel about child abuse. I get really, really angry. I'm very unreasonable on that topic here. Interestingly enough, Coca-Cola is now under fire for overtly racist employee training. And somebody leaked a video from inside, basically where Coca-Cola is telling their employees, try to be less white, which raises the question, what are they going to do with vanilla Coke? And another story, this one coming out of Your Destination Now. McDonald's will punish executives if they hire too many white people. Now that, to me, is racism right there on full display. But apparently in the United States right now, it's only racism if it works against the black population. If it's racism against the white population, that's cool. Yeah, we can deal with that. We talked earlier about this glacial flood disaster in India. It killed 200 people. Part of a glacier and a large chunk of rock face broke off the mountains of Uttarakhand, jamming a river before the massive backed up water broke through, causing a huge amount of devastation. And now locals are pointing the finger at a nuclear-powered CIA spying device lost in the Himalayas in 1965. Now, it was obviously a radioisotope thermoelectric generator. It's pouring out a lot of heat, and it may have just undermining the structure of that glacier and that ice face. Yeah, it's entirely possible that could have happened. Last weekend, we had a 7.3 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Fukushima, and to nobody's surprise, the reactors are now leaking more coolant following that quake. Existing damage to TEPCO's Unit 1 and 3 reactors has worsened, according to the Associated Press. Apparently experts said the cooling water level fell as much as 27 inches in the primary containment chamber of the Unit 1 reactor and 11 inches in Unit 3. Now, if you look at how small those primary containment vessels are, that is a significant drop. Okay, here's an interesting little story. There is a researcher, James Caspian. He's 61 years old. He's a psychotherapist who counsels transgender people. And he basically had a PhD on what is called transgender regret. Now, we've talked about this before. It's a big, ugly secret of the transgender movement that people who go through these surgeries and hormone treatments thinking it's going to make their lives better, they find out, no, they're on the other side, and they wish they could go back, and for most of them, they really can't. So he had a PhD in studying that. The British University has now canceled the PhD, because nobody is supposed to regret having a surgical medical sex change. And now he's appealed to the European Court over that. Meanwhile, Amazon has deplatformed. Actually, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be back after these few words.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about transgenderism and the big, deep, dark secret that people who actually go through the surgery and the drug treatments very often regret having done so. Over at Amazon, they've removed a best-selling book by a conservative author on the science and politics of transgenderism without notifying the author or even giving him a reason why they took the book down. So again, the censorship is definitely out there. Checking my email, I just got a little note here saying that the jet engine on the 777 was damaged by that gremlin that William Shatner saw at 30,000 feet. I think that's as good an explanation as any out there. All right, over in Germany, police in Berlin were called out to the area around the Antifa stronghold of Rigar 94, a total of 717 times in 2020 to deal with incidents ranging from violence to threats and property damage. That's almost twice a day that they're having to do that. Okay, police had to go over and deal with that. A little bit of computer news, and then we're going to open up the phone lines here. Security researchers, Rented Lips, have spotted a new malware operation targeting Mac devices, and it's already silently infected almost 30,000 systems. It's called Silver Sparrow. The malware was discovered by security researchers from Red Canary and analyzed together with researchers from Malwarebytes and VMware Carbon Black. And according to data from Malwarebytes, Silver Sparrow had infected 29,139 Mac OS endpoints across 153 countries as of the 17th of this month. But details about how the malware was distributed and infected users are still scarce. And it's unclear if Silver Sparrow was hidden inside malicious ads, pirated apps, or fake flash updaters, the classic distribution vector for most Mac malware these days. All righty. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to start with Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I've been. I don't call in all the time, but I watch your show every day.
Yes.
And I've noticed something. May I read you something? It's going to take like 5 seconds.
Sure.
To harass, criticize, or antagonize someone, especially by provocatively disparaging or mocking public statements, postings, or acts. That is the definition of troll.
Yes.
So when someone calls into your show and puts another caller down for being something that they are doing is the very essence of a hypocrisy. And I've listened to it a few times now, your last few shows, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure those people know who they are. Free speech reigns supreme in your country, the First Amendment. I can hear the music. And that's all I want to say. I appreciate your time, Mike. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to take a break here for station identification and more phone calls on the other side.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Welcome to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
Welcome back to our show here now, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Layla in Canada. Hello, Layla. How are you doing today?
Well, hello, Michael. How are you today?
I'm fine, but, frankly, I was a little worried about you after last Friday. I was going to take away your belt and shoelaces.
You know, that was so sweet of you, that phone call that you made to make sure that I was okay. Oh, wait, that wasn't you.
I don't have your phone number.
Even though you were so worried, no, someone else called to see how I was okay. Well,
good.
Actually, first let me get to what I'm calling about today. Shmuel Eliyahu is telling America to move over. They're taking over the world. They already have. They're just telling you after the fact. And as for Robert Kagan, do you know what Kagan means? It was one of the titles of the Yiddisher Jews that were running the so-called kingdom of Khazariah. And Khazariah was destroyed finally by the Persians and by either China or Russia. I can't remember which.
Okay.
But anyway, because they were such renegades, they would kill people if they didn't hand over money when they were on the Silk Road on the way to China.
Yes.
Just a bunch of gangsters, very much like their beloved descendants today. The Kagan guys, or the guys who call themselves Kohen, which is another way of saying Kagan, and also the Shmuel Eliyahus, who are taking over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the Balfour Declaration, it had no standing. It never had any legitimacy either in international law. Do you know what did create the opportunity to steal the Holy Land from the rest of the world? Not from Palestinians, because Palestine never existed as a nation because no one could own it. It was the Holy Land. It belonged to God and to all the religions that found their faith in that particular region.
Okay.
It was actually the Sykes-Picot Agreement, secret Sykes-Picot Agreement. That's British, SYKES, and the French, PICOT. That was 1916, and the Balfour Declaration was declared in 1917, and it was purchased with Zionist money from the British government, Lord Balfour. That's why it's called the Balfour Declaration. And the deal was that the Yiddishers would give the British all the money they wanted to destroy the Ottoman Empire so that the French and the English could divide up the entire region amongst themselves. And the Jews thought, wow, here's our chance to use the Brits to get Palestine. And the British thought, wow, here's our chance to use the Jews to take over the oil region. And then the Jews got rid of Zionists, the Bolsheviks, got rid of the Brits, who were killed, and they left with their tail between their legs. And then the poor little Palestinians that resided there were left to deal with the brutal, vicious Bolsheviks, who were communists, and also they were fascists, because Jabotinsky Zeev Jabotinsky, who was really Vladimir Jabotinsky, had created the Mussolini faction, the brown shirts in Israel, which, by the way, Steve Pachenik was a part of. He acknowledges he was part of the Beitar, the extreme right-wing Zionist movement. But anyway, one of the reasons that I'm calling today is that I'm responding, first of all, my apologies to those who heard me explode on Friday. And dear Mike, unfortunately, you were the target, as you always are when you're the guy sitting in the hot seat.
Yes.
I want to read, as you know, that was after Karen had called in to complain about Mark, continually talking about how it's fine by him. I mean, it's okay. It's all right. It's the way he likes it. That's his way of doing it. And he always refers to the Constitution when he says this, that races should mix. And Tom, meanwhile, from I guess somewhere in Florida, always complains about black men and white women.
Yes.
For those who don't know, and I don't have the exact details, but the majority of intelligence in a child comes from the X chromosomes in the woman. So since white women are more intelligent, if a black man marries a white woman, they're going to have better children. What's left over is the white guys either become gay or they marry what's left over, the black women. But let me quote Jefferson. Do you you know what Jefferson said about the blacks?
Please tell us.
Okay, here's Jefferson's views. In his book, now Jefferson was a prolific writer,
Yes.
but he only wrote one book, and that was on the state of Virginia. Now, what he says is blacks, in notes on the state of Virginia, Jefferson says, in memory, blacks are equal to whites. In reason, Jefferson says, blacks are much inferior to whites. As I think one could scarcely be found capable of tracing and comprehending the investigations of Euclid. He adds, never yet could I find that a black had uttered a thought above the level of plain narration. In imagination, blacks are dull, tasteless, and anomalous, and that is evident in their art. In music, blacks have acute ears for tune and time, but whether they'll ever be capable of composition more extensive run of melody or of complicated harmony is yet to be proved. Furthermore, it is often, misery is often the parent of the most affecting touches of poetry, and they have no poetry. Finally, he says, inferiority of mind and imagination, he adds, is also confirmed by the improvement of the blacks in body and mind in the first instance of their mixture with the whites. And that has been observed by everyone and proves that their inferiority is not the effect merely of their condition of life. Meanwhile, in Africa, which is full of blacks who have never been exposed to, and Jefferson also commented, after all the exposure that the black slaves have had to sophisticated European culture, why have they not learned some of that culture? And by the way, he praised the Native Americans as being capable of astounding flourishes of ideas and words that astounded him, as well as artistic work and carvings. But that, of course, is probably because the original occupants of North America before the Mongolians came over were actually Caucasians. But anyhow, I just think it's very interesting that in Africa, as I may have mentioned to you before, the pygmies have been dying off. They're becoming extinct because different tribes use them as slaves. They are born into slavehood to the Bantu in Congo.
Yes.
And other tribes use them if the pygmies are sent out to get some food and minerals and come back empty-handed. They're killed and eaten. So yes, let's have these black men breed with our white women and let them produce a superior product. and let the white men fend for themselves, or just all go gay. So that is why I don't know who Mark was pimping for, but he sure was pushing an ideology that would make caramel pudding of America's people. And that would, although Israel already controls so much of America, it has used a huge vacuum cleaner to suck out all the money from the USA, and it sent American boys off to die in their battles. So heck, why not, it's fact. It's facts on the ground, as the Israelis love to say. So now, once again, my apologies to those who heard me explode, but it just freaked me out. Because after somebody like Dave from Boston was banned on a station, a network that claims to advocate free speech, Dave was defending himself against a Nathan, whom I named Netanyahu, who had claimed all of us should go die, get off the planet, and Dave in particular should be sent to an institution until he dies. So the next day, Dave calls up and he was very offended. I was embarrassed that he was so angry, and I called you and apologized because I had been critical of you allowing and laughing and encouraging Nathan to talk about me dying and sending us off the planet and sending Dave into an institution. And so I thought, to avoid more problems on the show, to keep it on topic, which is politics and the election, I humbled myself and I apologized to you when I did not need to apologize, but should have received an apology. Nonetheless, I was more interested in harmony and peace. However,
that's always a good thing to be
Dave was
interested in.
Not quite. That's what everybody should be interested in. But unfortunately, Dave, who may have difficulty, just like some people have dyslexia, maybe Dave has verbal dyslexia. So Dave was banned from the network. And I have to tell you, I have felt very guilty ever since. So I am requesting of John Stadmiller, who is the one who banned Dave from all of RBN, I'm asking you, I want to join Dave. Please blacklist my phone number. Because if this is not really a free speech network, I don't want to be part of it. So maybe Dave will be invited back with an apology, which I think would be appropriate. But until then, thank you all very much, and may God protect you from the Israelis. Bye.
Okay, Layla, thank you very much for the phone call. Now, I'm a great admirer of Thomas Jefferson, but obviously on that one discourse, I find myself in disagreement with him. There's a great deal to African culture which has never really been properly showcased, if you will. Out on my living room wall here, I have collected certain artworks from around the world, including some from Kenya and Ghana and other places within Africa that were made by the indigenous people that show a certain style and creativity. And I have to be very honest, I don't entirely agree with the comments that you made, but in the spirit of the First Amendment, I did allow you to talk. And I'm really glad, though, that you did call back on in and let us know that you were okay, because you scared a lot of people on Friday. I got a lot of email from people wondering, what had happened to you and if you were going to be okay. All right, so thank you for that phone call. And we're going to go to Mark in North Carolina. And Mark, all I can say is please try and contain yourself today, because you seem to kick off a lot of animosity on this. What's on your mind?
Okay, I sure do. I wanted to talk basically about the, how they're trying to push this COVID vaccine. But I can't, I keep hearing my name mentioned. I just want to, defend myself and, I guess take the offense a little bit also. First of all, the fact of the matter is, I don't care who you marry. I really don't. We have a right to marry who we want in this country. Okay, that's part of our. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I had 3 wives. Unfortunately, all unsuccessful marriages. I did have some wonderful kids, though. My first wife was black. Okay, I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah, you
I'm not
mentioned
proud
that.
of it either. It's the way it is. It's what it is. I don't say everybody should marry any kind of certain people or not. There's nothing wrong with race mixing. There's nothing wrong with ethnic mixing. It probably improves the gene pool, the outcrossing. Okay? But again, I don't care. It's up to anybody's bit. When two people are in love and they want to get married, that's their business. The government has no, right to say anything about it, and it should never be, God forbid, there shouldn't be any law against it, as there once was. I don't know whether my friend from Canada thinks that there should be a law on it. I don't. It would be horrible to have a law against it. But then again, we're not Canada. Canada does not have a First Amendment like we do. That's why the COVID restrictions are far worse in Canada than they are here in the United States so far, because they do not have they still bow down to a family of pedophiles and cannibals there in the Buckingham Palace. Okay, we don't. All right, we swear our allegiance to the Constitution and to this great country, not to a family of pedophiles in Buckingham Palace. But the other thing is too, with this kind of obviously racist remarks that she said, including today. I know she's a Palestinian. That means she's an Arab. Arabs are Semites. A Semite is this guy, I don't know if you ever heard of T. West. He's got a show online called Afro Synergy News. Okay, he's a big Trump supporter too, by the way. He still is. He made it clear that a Semite is a mixture of African and Asian. That's the actual definition of a Semite. Okay. Okay. A mixture of an African and Asian.
Well, that's one definition. That's one definition. Right. The biblical definition is that a Semite is the descendant of Shem. A Shemite.
Which is what, a Jew? What is that, a Jew?
No, as you say, it also includes the Arabs.
Okay, all right. So they are Semites. I mean, but they're most likely a mixture of African and Asian, because just look at the area there, and maybe some European too. Okay, so the other thing is this: you mentioned Robert Kagan before. I think she did too. But I think, one thing about Kagan that you might not know, Gloria Newland, or what is her name? Not Gloria Newland.
Victoria.
The woman who basically was Victoria Newland.
Victoria Newland.
She's his wife. She's his wife. This is an especially evil family, Mike. This is a neocon, Ziocon, vicious family of warmongers, okay? And it doesn't surprise me that he said what he said. And of course, I believe he's a baby boomer who, of course, never served in the United States military himself. He is a scumbag of the first degree. So, to listen to what guy, and unfortunately, a scum like this has more and more to say now under Biden, because the neocons go back and forth from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, and they pollute both parties, and they make things bad for both parties. That's the thing about Kagan. So, I'm not surprised he said that. The man, a scumbag is a scumbag, a rattlesnake is a rattlesnake, and a Robert Kagan is a Robert Kagan, and so is his disgusting wife. All right, so, and again, people have a right to say what they want about me. I don't care. I believe in the First Amendment. I don't believe this nonsense about trolls either. Okay, you got something to say to me? I don't care. Say it. All right, I don't get insulted. I don't melt away like one of you callers did that disappeared from the line because he didn't like the way people came at him over the mask issue. I'm not a snowflake. I don't care. You want to say what because again, Mr. Canada, I forget his name. This is not Canada. This is the United States. All right, we're a free republic, and we got a First Amendment, and we got a Constitution. Thank God for that Constitution. And that's why I try to tell people.
Yeah, if everybody would conform with it, it would be a wonderful place.
Yeah, preserve that Constitution, whatever else we do.
Yes,
I know it's going to be hard with this scumbag now in the presidency, but we've got to do everything we can to preserve that Constitution. And as far as having that wall around there, in the Washington, or that what do you call it, that fence around there?
Yes,
it just makes us really look bad to the rest of the world.
Oh, but, yeah. I mean, getting a lot of negative comments in the foreign press.
He doesn't care. How are you gonna preach to any other country about democracy, like to Burma now? they're going to have what they want in Burma, Myanmar, or whatever it's called. Okay,
Myanmar.
They did what they had to do because they weren't going to accept a crooked election. We got a Supreme Court that is willing to accept the crooked election. Okay, and now we're stuck with it. And that's all I got to say, Mike. So you take it easy, all right?
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go, and we're coming up on a commercial break, so I'm going to hold the calls till after that. A little bit of computer news. Out at California, the Department of Motor Vehicles has warned state residents that over a year's worth of data, including addresses, license plate numbers, may have been compromised in a recent cyber attack on a third-party contractor. And apparently over in Arizona, well, no, now we take the commercial break. Back with more phone calls after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the ease-off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my ease-off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease-off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to John in Ohio. Hello, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Doing fine.
Good, good. I have to laugh a little bit. Brought up Jefferson here, and my fifth great grandfather happens to be Alexander Hamilton. And my brother always joked that Hamiltons don't carry any Jefferson nickels. So some of the long time old fighting is still about. But
yes.
What I called about today, but a little bit. My wife and I listened to you guys, listened to you and Claire for a long time, and it's the first time I've called in. We're a small business owner. I'm also a firefighter and a paramedic, so we work two jobs. And the inflation rate right now is unbelievable. We're getting taxes done, looking at parts. My wife has been just letting me know the list price on parts for automobile repair. We're looking at they literally doubled the fuel price, or doubled the price on oil filters from the dealership, literally just overnight. And in the last year, we've seen anywhere from about 11 to 24% increase in 1 year.
Yes.
And we try not to pass that on, but there's nothing we can do. And it seems like people just trying to scrape by to get car repair done, and hard to afford a new car. And we focus on one make, and we have a lot of great customers, but amazing in 1 year what the cost, what the price is getting reflected in the receipts.
Yes.
And same with food. We buy our food at the firehouse, and just yesterday I went significantly over budget just on the meat alone. And we're talking about having increased again the budget. We put all our money in the morning, and all firemen pay for their food. And we haven't had to increase our budget in 3-4 years. But now it's pretty evident that things are going to have to change pretty rapidly on our end. So it's pretty frustrating, but it's scary. Everything that's happening, it's pretty scary on that end. And I'm getting to that retirement age, and you look at people that retire and they have a fixed income, and with that inflation rate, ends are not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to meet those ends.
Yeah, it's scary out there, and we've got experts now saying we could get into Weimar hyperinflation. Something like, I think 40% of the dollars in circulation were created just last year to pay for wars and keep Israel happy, and all this pandemic nonsense. They're looking at skyrocketing real estate prices as being the cash sink to offset the inflation, but it's really not working, because when you have too much cash chasing too few goods and services, prices inevitably go up.
Right. It's unbelievable, and just wake up every day thinking this is a nightmare. We had as a business, we had 4 really good years under President Trump, and things were looking up, and I don't know. It's the dark winter is here, I guess.
Yes.
Cold here in Ohio too. So welcome back to the Midwest. The ice dams on the roof. We've had water in our house, and it's been a heck of a year. So pretty rough. Pretty rough.
Well, yeah, it's been a rough year for a lot of people. Now, our snow here is all finally gone, and I think that's kind of the last hurrah for this winter season, I hope. But yeah, it's been kind of rough for a lot of people. It's been rough for Claire and I, and again, if we were still in Hawaii with the inflated prices there, we probably would have gone under by now.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work, Mike. I want to leave you with a Hamilton quote. In fact, actually, my wife just got me this really neat Zippo lighter with it on it. It says, "However weak our country may be, I hope we never sacrifice our liberties." And
that's a good quote.
Seems like we're there. So you have a great show, Mike, and thanks. Keep up the good work, and we'll be listening to you every day.
All right, thanks, and say hello to your wife for me, and thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Tom. Oh, no, actually, we're coming up on another commercial break here. So, Tom, just sit and, pause for a while here, and I'm going to fill the remaining time for the commercial break with a news story. We were talking about computers. Over in Arizona, according to Department of Corrections whistleblowers, there are prisoners who are eligible for release but are not being let go because the inmate management software can't interpret current sentencing laws. There's apparently a software bug in their system that is keeping people locked up that longer than they need to be. Meanwhile, if you are out there on using dating apps and some social media, scam artists lurking on the dating apps and social media made a record haul of $304 million lost to these romance scams just last year. Okay, we're going to take a break for commercials. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once per year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone. Big McDonald.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, Michael. Good day to you. Wow, Mike. That lady in Canada, man, this is like, wow, scattering here. what's going on is, are you getting emails about me talking about white women with black men? I mean, listen. I bring that up because the black women are not happy about that, Mike. Black women in America are not happy that black men are going with white women because they want to keep to their own, Mike.
Yeah,
so
but look at TV commercials.
saying that.
Look at these TV commercials that always have a mixed race couple. I mean, this idea is literally being sold through the corporate media.
Exactly, Mike. And listen, how's affirmative action working out for all these white people? How's affirmative action working out? How is this working out where we're going to have these people wanting reparations out of bumbling buffoons in there? They're going to probably give them each, $200,000, all the blacks that can say they were slave descendants, and then we're bringing them all over from Obama's bringing them in from Africa by the hundreds of thousands. Still, who's kidding who here? This is nonsense, okay? This is utter insanity and nonsense, what I'm hearing from some of these. They're confounding me about talking about immigration. Hey, listen, Mike, what about the boy 11 years old that froze to death in Texas? Did you hear about that story, Mike?
Oh, yeah, we talked about it.
You got a family suing for $100 million. What about all these angel mothers and fathers, Mike, that should be suing for $200 million? They lost a loved one to the government because they brought the illegal aliens in here. But she's going to bring a fact up that I was talking about. Well, I think it's wrong that white men and black men should stay with their black women and white men should stay with their white women. And some about white men are all going gay. What is this all about? What is this crap? The strongest men in the world live in Iceland. Are they gay?
Nope.
No, come on. The Vikings, the Northern people, are they gay? No, they're the strongest men in the world. The most healthiest men in the world are Northern European white men. Okay? The biggest men in the world per capita are Northern European men. Holland, Netherlands, even England. Come on, Germany. Who's kidding who here? What is this nonsense I'm hearing, this nincompoop stuff? And, she's going to say, oh, well, are people calling him out, Mike, about me, emailing you about I'm talking too much? I only brought that up twice in your show in the last 3 years about that I think it's wrong that black men are going with white women when they should be going with their black women. And the black women agree with me, I guarantee it. And the white women, I know what happened. They're getting totally brainwashed by the media that, it's acceptable. No. You should stay with your own, basically. You don't see it. You don't hear it talk. The Jews don't go with other people.
Hang on a minute. What about, let me give you a hypothetical. Okay. What about a couple and one is black and one is white and they do not intend to have children? Okay. Where is your problem with them getting married?
Mike, listen, again, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when the media's trying to pump it up on TV commercials like you agree with. Every time you see a show during the Super Bowl. Okay, Mike, I'm not saying, what the one caller for Carolina's right. If you fall in love with a different culture, I have no problem with that. Listen, I have no problem with a Catholic man falling in love with a Jewish woman. Or a Jewish man falling in love with a Catholic woman, like Jerry Lewis. I have no problem with it, Mike.
Okay, my first wife was Jewish.
Exactly. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with, Mike, is they try to force it down our throat with the media. And my point always been on that subject is that the black women in this country, I know are not happy about it. Because, actually, there's a lot more black women in this country than there are black men. Mike?
Yeah.
Am I lying? So there's
I don't have the current demographics with me, but I think, I've heard that someplace, yes.
Yes, from what I heard, there's 6% or 5% black men, and the rest are black women, which is 13%. So there you go. So the black women in this country don't have enough men as it is. So, no, I totally agree with the black women here on this. I've seen them on talk shows about this, and they're right. And they shouldn't have to be fighting for their own males. I mean, come on. But, Mike, look, I didn't call for that, okay? Look, you're not hearing all this scattering stuff here. But, Mike, I called about the young boy, 11 years old.
Yes.
He was froze to death in a state which we're supposed to be the super nation, the super richest country in the world. We got a bumbling buffoon in there. His VP candidate is a communist. The wife, Jill Biden, y'all go around acting like she's some kind of super doctor. She's no super doctor. She's another buffoon. Okay? She cheated on her husband to go with Joe. Okay? Accordingly. So, and that's not even going into Maxine Jocelyn Maxwell. Like one of the callers I listened on our show yesterday, he made a great point. Everybody has all this evidence against Trump. Trump did this. Trump. Where's the evidence? Where was the Mo Mueller thing? Where was this other impeachment at the Capitol? Mike, it's all been a big cabal, a filthy zog lie, okay? Even the commercials they're pumping on Hollywood and all that. Mike, listen, the 11-year-old kid, I believe he should get $100 million. I believe in the angel mother
let me
and father
play
who lost
devil's
a loved
advocate
one.
here. Let me play devil's advocate here. First of all, my first thought when I heard the story about the 11-year-old boy who froze to death is, where were the parents? Why weren't they there? At least, trying to find some other way of keeping him warm. And the other thing is, we know that the infrastructure in Texas and indeed the entire country is deplorable. We can't lay that at Biden's feet. He's only been in office for about a month here. The deterioration of America's infrastructure goes back decades and through several presidential administrations.
That I agree with you, Mike. I 100% agree. But, going back to like what's going on with the immigration problem, Mike, you got it right there. We don't. Was this kid an illegal alien? Was he an American citizen? I don't know. But I do know, Mike, from what I've read, okay, thousands of Americans have been murdered by illegal aliens. Yes or no, Mike?
Yes, they have.
Okay. And no, we never hear about them being lawsuits. A young woman in Iowa was stabbed 15 times. The detectives that went out and investigated the case said they never seen nothing like. They found her body in a cornfield. Some of the knife wounds went right through her body, Mike. 15 times. The guy screaming that he may not speak English and he wants to have the trial in Mexico, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike,
I heard that.
Molly Tibbetts, Mike. Kate Steinle died in her father's arms. That's just an example. And there's thousands and thousands of more, Mike. And you know what? We don't hear nobody suing them. And you got this buffoon wants to bring in millions of more of these people, Mike. And the only reason they're doing it for vote. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about anything, the Bill of Rights. They could care less. They don't mean to speak English either. They don't care if they ever learn the language. Mike, I don't know if you heard the big story that's happening here in South Florida. I don't know if you heard it yet. Did you hear about the woman doctor?
No,
Mike?
Please enlighten us.
Okay, well, it's a really heavy case, Mike, but it would take me a while to talk about it, but I'll get it real quick and we'll talk about it later. This lady doctor was in a store, and some guy told her to put her mask on because she was like, I guess, 2-3 feet away from him, and he didn't speak English. He didn't speak English, but he spoke Spanish, and he was making gestures at her and pointing at her to put the mask and all. So she got irritated, and she worked at Mount Sinai. Okay, she worked at the Mount Sinai Hospital here in South Florida. So, anyway, a long story short, and she got real upset. This woman blew up, okay? And she went out to the parking lot, and the guy when she was walking out, she said something to the guy, and then she walked over his car because he kept making gestures at her or whatever, shooting her birds or whatever. This was in the store, okay? Now, she went and scratched his car. She's wrong, okay? She got busted. Now they're calling her, and then she called him the S word. So now I was saying to myself, oh, wait a minute, now this lady's in trouble. Anyway, Mike, the bottom line is, okay, she got charged with a hate crime, okay, Mike? She's charged with a hate crime. She lives in a prestigious area in Miami, okay? And she's now, I guess she's suspended from Mount Sinai medical practice and all that. And they're going to take, I don't know if it's going to be a big, but here I was thinking, Mike, okay, they want to say she was using a racial charge against, but let me tell you, Mike, these people in Spain, these people that come from Cuba, Mike, they are Northern Europeans. They are not, that's like calling a German person a kraut. Okay, Mike? They're still Northern Europeans. These people in Spain that go to Cuba, Puerto Rico, and all that, they're not some special entity from a different continent, Mike. They are Northern Europeans. Am I lying? Yes or no, Mike?
Well, you're forgetting about the centuries of interbreeding with the indigenous natives of Central and South America, which has, in fact, produced a whole new people with a blended culture and a blended language.
Mike, but listen, they're charging this woman. Okay, she was wrong. I'm not going to defend her in some regard, but in some regard, I will defend her because she called this guy the S word. It wasn't a cuss word. She didn't say no profanity. She used that word. Okay, that's been they used that word in the movie West Side Story. Remember the movie West Side Story, Mike?
Yes.
The Jets and Sharks. Okay.
Yes.
You remember when they Maria, I just met a girl. Remember that, Mike?
Yep. Yes.
Maria. Hey, they used that S word in that movie. And was that racist back then?
No, back then it wasn't considered racist. Back then everybody had thick skins.
But now this woman was going to lose her career. because she called this guy the S word, and there's 2 other people who spoke Spanish, but there was no English people there to defend her. You understand the point here? The point is these people that come from Cuba and Venice, all those people that came, they all came out of Spain, Mike, and they're Spanish and they're Northern Europeans. That's what the lady's defense should be. Okay? That's her defense. Now, was she right to key the man's car? I don't believe so. She should get charged for that.
Definitely not.
In his car, whatever she's going to use. No, she was wrong. She blew up. And according to the Herald and all these radio shows, she blew up. Okay, and I'll admit to that. She blew up. And she lost it. Okay, like, you know how it is. And but I guess she tried to make amends at the court, and it was too late because they're trying to hit her because she used the S word, Mike. If that's going to happen here, it's going to start happening all over the freaking country, Mike. And that's why another reason we should have all this illegal immigration in here. We can't handle this anymore, Mike. Our country's ready to burst, man.
Again,
my argument
against immigration is not the increased crime and the obvious hostility and xenophobia going on here. Just from a purely economic point of view, it is definitely bad policy. But you're right, the Democrats are flooding them in here in the hope that they will always vote Democratic, or maybe they think that this will be the army they send out to conquer the rest of the world. Good luck with that one. And in any event, Tom, I'm running out of time, and I got a bunch of callers,
Mike,
so I'm going to let you go here.
One more thing, Mike.
Just one more thing.
One more thing. All the construction workers building these highways are all Hispanic. Look them out. You don't even see Afro-Americans building these highways anymore, these roadways. They're all Hispanic. Look at them, Mike. Here in South Florida, I haven't seen one white guy. I haven't seen a white guy building highways here in 10 years. I don't even see Afro-American men doing those jobs anymore. What happened to them all? Why did they work in there?
Well, they're part of the mass unemployed.
Afro-Americans more than whites.
Okay, they're part of the unemployed, which is part of that economic issue. Of course, you remember back in the heyday of skyscraper building in New York, most of those high iron workers were Native Americans because they just had this natural ability to walk along those beams without falling off, which is just a big drag on everybody. Anyway, Tom, thanks a lot for the phone call.
Correct.
We're going to switch to Bruce in Texas. Hello, Bruce. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Okay.
Hey, Rush Limbaugh, that EIB mic, man. I want to award it to Tom in Florida, man. He would burn up here.
Yeah, he'd melt the gold plating right off of that thing.
Yeah. The SEC, they'd hunt him down. I have to get a radio transmitter across the border, like for Wolfman Jack back in the '60s. You know.
Yes, I remember Wolfman.
Yeah. You know, that kid, you know, and $100 million, 11-year-old. You know, he was from Honduras. And so, and his mother didn't seem to be too, upper educated. And so it's just, you know, there's a lot of people lost their heat. A lot of people got cold, but, you know, they neglected to put on enough blankets, you know, you know, they're going to get paid. Yeah. But they're focusing on that and on Ted Cruz, who, you know, I'm no fan of Ted Cruz. My biggest criticism of him is he has a mansion and no natural gas generator like my neighbor does.
Yeah.
He just didn't think that through, you know. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is here in Texas, or she made a visit, and she's pushing, you know, emergency relief, water, and some generators and stuff. And what all this is, it's a media push to deflect away from the green, you know, to save the Green New Deal.
That's exactly right.
Exactly right. And that's want to bring that up. And to Layla, I wanted to, she wants to look more into it, or any of the other listeners, into the Khazarian history. Look up Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson. And he's on Radio Albion, and just plug that into Google. Google did pull it up. Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson Khazaria, and he has 2 podcasts that explains in perfect detail, because he has a background in Russian history, exactly how that all came about. And that's all I got, because you don't have much time. I'll let the next caller come on.
All right, thanks a lot. We're going to switch to Mark in New York. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey there, Mike. Let me take you off a speaker.
Okay.
You sound great as usual. And Well, I want to say, a couple of things. Maybe I'll get to all of them. I noticed today gas on credit in New York is like up to $3.85.
Yes.
That's approaching, 50%? I know it's 25% more for me in the last 2 months, and that's a lot.
Yes.
You mentioned reparations, and or not you, but the callers, and I've seen it over the weekend. They're starting to float $250K, the cost of living. But when I think of it, okay, let them have it, but then that's it, right? What do the taxpayers get in return? Like, okay, if we give you $250,000, I'm all for it, but then we don't have to do any subsidies for housing, welfare, health insurance, or any tertiary education. No more affirmative action, or will they never be satisfied? $250,000.
Well, they're never going to be satisfied. It's like when you feed the squirrels in the park. Doesn't matter how many nuts you give them; they'll be back for more.
Even my backyard birds, or I got a great hawk story for you.
Okay.
But I'm guilty, of slandering New Jersey callers, like Paulie, maybe doing community service or partying with Bruce Springsteen. Maybe that's why he never calls in, but I congratulate Dustin the Russian acceptance into the flight simulator project to Mars. It'll take a few years, so that's why he's not really calling in. That flight simulator takes a while.
I'll definitely want one. I'll definitely want one of those. It's the only computer games I allow myself are flight simulators.
But Mark's call today was great. Concise, their details. But I think the details, he could give some where I could research it and be a little more, okay, here's a detail that I got from this place or something.
Okay,
because
Mark.
he spews out a lot, and I side with Layla and stuff.
Okay,
But
Mark, I hate to do this.
But
I hate to do this.
All
I
right.
got to cut you off. We got to take a break for commercials.
I'll call another time.
Yeah, please do. Call back in. We're going to take a break for commercials, and we'll be back with the final phone calls after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extendivite has proven time and again it really works. Here's a testimonial from Amazon.com. I am only 40, but I have put my body through hell working in manufacturing for 20 years. I recently started to notice a buzzing feeling along with a stuttering sensation with my heart. I had a full cardio stress done, which I passed. I decided to try Extendivite after getting the jingle stuck in my head. Halfway through the bottle, I really did notice a difference. After getting home from work, I would just sit in a chair for a few hours feeling like crap, and this stuff reduced that feeling along with heart discomfort to almost nothing. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, And when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
And welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today. We're going to go to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Hey, Michael, you know what I love about Tom from Florida is his brevity. And, and when he says just one more thing, that means I have time to make hard-boiled eggs.
Yes.
Now, listen. Concerning interracial marriage, we need to remember that the Loving versus State of Virginia case, which overturned interracial marriage in the United States, that happened in 1960.
Yes.
So from 1776 to 1960 is 184 years. Okay? So the majority of time of this country, interracial marriage was illegal and frowned upon. Okay, let's establish that.
Well, obviously, from
So
some
when
of our
people-
calls today, it's still frowned on.
Right, exactly. And by the way, I would argue it should be frowned on because I am against interracial marriage. And my part, and there's plenty of reasons for it. It's kind of interesting if you think of it. We have laws based on marriage laws, restriction laws today on incest. And that was ultimately a biological reason for that, to
Yes.
outlaw incest. And nobody would advocate that today, although Mark might, when, a bunch of people in public start floating up the idea and say it's some constitutional right and how you interrupt with a person's love and who they love.
Okay.
Because, and that's what I'm saying about these people. Now, for those 184 years when interracial marriage was outlawed, were those founders and those people behind this somehow just the worst constitutional scholars that ever existed? And only until 1960, when the Supreme Court decided those 9 people were smarter than everybody in the past. Is that the case?
Well,
So
I think
the reality of it, to me, is that the normal view is that interracial marriage should be outlawed. That's the normal American culture.
I think first of all, interracial marriage is not mentioned in the Constitution itself, and I think the early legal prohibition against it reflected more popular opinion and religious dogma than anything else. Now, obviously, as you said, in the case of incest, there is a real biological reason not to allow incest, because if a child is produced, it is more than likely to be seriously deformed.
Right, and I would argue when there's an interracial marriage, and even Lauren complained about that last week when she said how her Indian heritage, that she had 4 different tribes. Remember? She said that Friday at the end of your show. And I thought it interesting because she was basically, if those tribes had not interracially married, maybe she would have been born as a pure Indian. And it really shows she's decrying the loss of Indian identity. If the Indians could control their borders and only marry amongst themselves.
Paul, it's an interesting theory, but I got to let you go. The music is playing. The show is over. And I apologize to those people waiting on hold who did not get in. Please call in tomorrow. Call in early. and we'll get to you. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. He's going to be sharing the mic with Steve Elkins. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting Network. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. Republic is going to need your help with the electric bill this month. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.